Today I just wanted to give a quick demo of our new cloud-based water management system called Tetras. So straight off the bat, you'll come through to our login page. So this is our login page, and you'll get a unique username and a unique password. And if you just enter them into this page here and click login, you'll be logged into the Tetras system. And this is the first page that you'll come to. This is the account page, and this is essentially the first page to your Tetras journey. So you can see here, this is really kind of broken up into three different aspects. So you've got your account page in the top right here. You've got my cases. So these are any issues, any cases that yourselves or us or our engineers encounter on site. And then you've got your Tetras community. So the Tetras community is a place in which any user can add anything about any generic thing about water treatment, about Legionella, about Pseudomonas for discussion within the wider community. And then as you scroll down, you've got various kind of promotional videos, and then you've got your contact support button. So this is where you'd contact a specific department, so engineering, sales, client relations, with a specific issue that you've got, and we quite literally are happy to help. So as you scroll back up and click on My Account, this is where you'll jump into your account page. So this is where you'll see all of the different sites that you've got within the Tetras system. So for example, if you had 5 hotels or 5 hospitals, all 5 of those hotels or all 5 of those hospitals would have different accounts here, and you can jump into each different site. So in this case, we've created a demo site called Pro Economy Hospital. So we'll just click on that, and this will take us through to the main desktop. So this main desktop is where you'll see most of the kind of information about this specific site. So as you kind of scroll down, this is the site hospital name. This is the site email address and the site telephone number. So we'll ask that this is kind of kept up to date from yourselves and just checked. And as you come down further, you'll see your account owner, which would be yourselves if you're using the Tetras system. You'll be able to see your main engineer. So this is the Pro Economy engineer that comes onto site day in and day out. You'll be able to see if it's a contracted system, a contracted site. So we have 2 different kind of systems out there. We have a contract or an ad hoc. And so a contract is when somebody turns around and says, well, look, I'd like to, you jump into a contract for, let's say, 2 years, and I'd like to buy, a certain amount of pods and a certain amount of samples, and then I'd like to use those up over that 2-year period. And ad hoc is when somebody would say, well, as those samples or pods are used up, we'd ask you to charge us accordingly. So just kind of jumping back down even further, you've got the sample types that we specifically sample within this site. So in this case, it's Legionella and Pseudomonas, but this could be Legionella, Pseudomonas, metals, TVCs. It could be anything, E. coli, anything that we sample. And then as you kind of come across, you'll be able to see the sample frequency. So in this case, we sample there monthly, and you'll be able to see how many samples we do at this site. So in this case, we do 30 samples per month for Legionella and metals. You'll be able to also see the account currency. So in this case, obviously, it's British pounds. As you scroll down further, you'll be able to see the address information. So this is where the specific site is. And you can click on this and see a Google map of exactly where this specific site is. So just jumping even further down, you can see your pod transaction information. So talking about those kind of contracted period, most of our clients are contract periods, or contract clients, and they will have a specific contract period. So in this case, this will show you how many copper pods they've got left within their bank and how many silver pods they've got left within their bank. So let's say they bought 100 copper pods at the start of their contract period. Well, in this case, they'd have used up 47 of those copper pods, and that's why they're showing 53 left within their bank. Equally, in this case, if they had 100 silver pods, they'd have used up 100 of those silver pods, and that's why their bank is 0. And exactly the same thing occurs with the sample information here. So you've got your actual TVC bank, your actual Pseudomonas bank, your actual metals bank, and your actual Legionella bank. So these are the samples that this specific site has bought at the start of their contract period. And as our engineers go on site and they take a sample, these values will obviously start to decrease as those samples are used up. And then if we just keep on scrolling down, we'll get to account activity. This is essentially every single thing that happens with this account, any email, any invoice, any case that's created. So it's a great kind of overview of the entire kind of workings of this site. So if we just kind of scroll back up and we jump into pod transactions. So this will track holistically, this will track the number of pods that this entire site is using up. So this site might have 4 or 5 systems across the entire length and breadth of the site. But in this specific chart, we're looking at all of those systems amalgamated together, all of the pods that have been used at all of those systems amalgamated together into one chart. So you can really see a great way of seeing how many pods you've used as an entire site. So you can just kind of click on that, and this will load up another graph, and you can hover over just to see exactly how many copper and silver pods you've used up at which specific date. If you want to jump in even further and dig down even further, you can just click onto View Report. This will bring up a new page, and this will show you exactly when and who changed those specific pods, where they were specifically changed. So in this instance, this first instance here, we've had 8 copper pods and 4 silver pods changed at the tower building system. So that's a specific system we have within this made up account, and it was changed by one of our engineers called Tim Evans on this specific date. So it's a great way of kind of seeing exactly what's going on in terms of your pod usage, where and when and who has changed your pods. And you can, one of the great things is you can export all of this into Excel or into a CSV files for your own reporting needs. If you're using another software system or if you're using paper, you can just click down here and export that, and then you have you can jump into here and you can see that you can export it into an Excel file and just by clicking export. So if we just jump back to our account page, we can do exactly the same thing with sample transactions. So we can see exactly how many samples transactions have been occurring site-wide, so for the whole of this site. So you can see metal samples, TVC samples, Legionella samples used. And again, exactly the same way with pod transactions. You can just click on that and have a look at exactly how many samples you're using. So in this case, on the 9th of the 3rd, 2018, 166 metal samples were used, 142 TVC samples were used, and 142 Legionella samples were used. Again, we can just kind of click on View Report, and then we can see kind of a really kind of a really dug down version of the initial report, and you can see exactly when and where each of those samples were taken. And again, just like with pod transactions, you can come up to the top right here and click on export, and then export that as a CSV file or as an Excel file for your own reporting needs. So then if we just jump back and scroll down a little bit, we can go into something that we call results. So the results tab is a fantastic kind of way of looking at all of your sample results holistically, so as an entire site and over time. So it's a really good kind of trend analysis tool. So you could look, for example, here we've got Legionella results, and these are all of the different outlets that we sample at, and you can see these trended over time over the last year. In this instance, we had a lot of problems with Legionella in the first 3 months or of the year, and then that's kind of dramatically come down, and obviously we've had no Legionella results since May. And then if we just kind of keep on scrolling down, we do exactly the same thing with your copper analysis, so your metals analysis. So here we're looking to kind of maintain a relatively kind of stable amount of copper that's being dosed into the system, and you can see that we are in this case doing that relatively well, and exactly the same thing for silver. So we're looking to maintain a specific kind of level of silver in the system to get rid of your Legionella and Pseudomonas, and that's what we're seeing here. And then if we keep on scrolling down, you've got exactly the same thing with TVCs at 20 degrees. So you're seeing TVCs at 20 degrees dramatically falling as a trend analysis, and TVCs dramatically falling at 30 degrees as a trend analysis. So then if we just jump back up to the top here and skip back to the account overview page, then what we can do is we can actually jump into something that we call the workbook. So traditionally, all of our sites would have something called a workbook, which is every single month when our guys take the samples and the results are released from the laboratory, we create a workbook for that specific sample set. In this case, it's a little bit different, but we're working to the same formula, so there's no kind of break of service. So if we just jump into workbook here, it'll give you a page like this, and here you can pick a specific date. So let's say if you wanted to see the last, let's say you wanted to see October's sample results in 2017, and you only wanted to see a month, so you wanted to see up until, let's say 2 months, up until December 17. So you wanted to see a specific kind of 2-month window at the end of 2017. You just click Get Samples, and then this would populate automatically all of the samples that were taken over this specific period. So here you can see sample date, you can see the outlet, you can see the temperature, the level, the area, the room. So this is all kind of location-based information. All of our guys diligently put in exactly where those samples are, so that we have a really good reference to understand exactly where that specific outlet is. And then you can see a description of the outlet. Is it a wash hand basin? Is it a shower? The outlet type, is it a mixer tap? Is it a hot tap? Is it a shower? The sample type, so how hot that sample is. And then this is all of the result analysis. And this is all color coded, so anything in red is when it's out of spec, so it's when it's out of the specific benchmark that we put on this specific site for copper and silver. And equally, when we get a TVC or a Legionella positive within a specific range, it will turn to red. NT means not taken for Pseudomonas. So you can kind of just scroll down there and see all of that kind of information. If you keep on scrolling, you will be able to see all of the outlets here. So all of the outlets here, these are all hyperlinked. So all of these outlets are hyperlinked. So let's say in this specific time period, you want to see what's happening at this specific outlet. So staff kitchen on left-hand side of room 3470X. You just click on this hyperlink, and then this will give you a trend analysis over time for that specific outlet. So you're digging into a specific outlet in this case. So this will load up a new trend analysis charts. So these trend analysis is specifically for this outlet, and it will be showing it over time. So you'll be able to see your silver results over time, your copper results over time. You'll be able to see, very importantly, your Legionella results over time, and your total viable count of bacteria, TVC results over time. So here we're going from the holistic view and results through to every specific kind of the last month's samples in the workbook, or the last 3-month samples in the workbook. And then here what we're doing is we're doing trend analysis for each of those specific outlets. Which really will give you a fantastic kind of understanding of your water system. So if we just jump back up to the top here and scroll back to the workbook. One of the good things about this workbook is, again, you can export this into Excel. So you can just go and export this, and it will load up onto your desktop, and then you can just open that. And this is for your own kind of uses, so you can save this and put this into any kind of system that you've specifically got. Obviously you could just kind of use our dashboard to do all of this. But if you've got your own reporting kind of mechanisms, this is a fantastic way of getting these results into those mechanisms. Right, so that's the workbooks there. So if we just skip back to the home page, the account information page. So if we just kind of scroll down, if you wanted to have a look at a specific outlet, so let's say you had a couple of issues or a couple of kind of questions about one specific outlet, you just have to jump into here, and then you can just scroll down or search or use the search function to find a specific outlet. So let's say in this instance we wanted to find this outlet here. So let's say 106. So this is the outlet reference that we give it, the hyperlink that we give it. So in this instance, it's inside right hand side of the sink. This is the specific room number and name. It's a wash hand basin. It's on level 4, on level 5. So what we'd do here is, let's say you had a couple of questions about that. You just have to click into here, and it would show you exactly the same trend analysis over time of what's happening at that specific outlet. So you'll be able to see the silver results, the copper results, your Legionella results over time, your TVC results over time. So this just gives you a fantastic way of just digging down into every single outlet that you've had sampled. Okay, so let's just jump back. And all of these aspects of the system can all be exported. Everything can be exported into Excel or CSV, just to kind of help your reporting needs. Okay, so jumping into the kind of last aspects of the system, we jump into systems. So if you have Orca systems installed on site, so let's say in this case, in this demo case, you've got 4 specific Orca systems installed on site. So you've got a KB3, which is one of our larger units. You've got a KB2 and a KB1. A KB1 is our smallest unit. A KB2 is our medium-sized unit. And these are the different system locations. So let's, in this case, let's go and have a look at this KB3. So you just click on here. And then here, this is where you'd be able to see all of the diagnostic data. So all of the diagnostic data is either remotely or physically downloaded by our engineers. And then you'd be able to come down here and you'll be able to see all of the different aspects of this system. So total water consumed within a day for this system, the average flow rate for this system. And the great thing here is you can just click on those there again, and you can actually just hover over and see exactly what's going on at the different times for this specific system. And again, just as before, you can jump into the view report, and you can export all of these into a Excel worksheet, and you can see things like the total amount consumed over a specific period, and you can refine those periods. So if you wanted to see how much water you've consumed over the last 6 months, you can do that very, very easily here. And then this is just a breakdown of all of that data. So let's just kind of skip back and show you some more of these charts. So this is total amount of water consumed in day liters. This is the average flow rate, so the average flow rate for this specific system in liters per minute. And then this is the average silver amps, and this is the average copper amps. So in this specific example, the blue line is the actual silver amps, and the red line is the minimum silver amps. So as long as the blue line is over the red line, that we know that the silver is dosing the right amount or just over the right amount. If that blue line is underneath the red line, then we know that we need to increase the dosing for the silver. And exactly the same way here. So as long as this blue line is over the red line for your copper, then we know that in this specific case, the silver amps are producing more than the minimum. So everything should be fine with the system. And then if we keep on scrolling down, you've got something called runtime. So this tells us how much time per how many hours per day copper has been running. So in this instance, if we just click on here, you can see that on the 2nd of the 6th, 2018, copper was running for 5 hours, and on the 4th of the 6th, 2018, copper was running for 10 hours. So this is a great kind of way of us understanding how hard the copper is dosing, and how hard the silver is dosing. I'll get to that in a second. And obviously, this is a great way of kind of figuring out if there's errors or issues with the system, because if there's any issues with the system, this obviously would drop to 0. And again, you can just jump into those specific reports and then just download them into Excel. And lastly, within these diagnostic data, if you keep on scrolling down, you'll finally get to the runtime for the silver. So how many hours within a day is the silver operating? And we can add numerous different charts to this. We have so much diagnostic data that comes off the systems remotely or physically, and so we can get various different charts are available. But these are the most useful. What we can also show you is per system. We can show you the pod transactions. So instead of having a look at how many pods are used for your whole site, you can actually look at how many pods are used within each system, and you can just jump into a very similar chart as with the holistic view of pod transactions. And so you can see on the 11th of the 5th, 2018, 8 copper pods were changed and 4 silver pods were changed on this specific site. And then again, you can just click into here, view all of that data, and then report on it, and then just get that exported straight into Excel for your own reporting needs. Or just jumping down here, you can see exactly what's going on in terms of your pod usage for that specific system. Finally, I just wanted to touch on cases. So cases is a way of us logging issues or problems that one might have with any of the systems. So this is, for example, if you have an issue with the system, or equally if our engineers discover an issue with the system, they log a specific case. So for example, let's go and create a new case here. So you'd jump in here and you'd say, okay, which department is it for? Engineering? Is it for sales? Maybe you need a new system. Is it for client relations? Maybe there's a sampling issue that you've got. Maybe there's a question that you've got about some of your sample analysis. So you just click on one of these specific things, and let's say the system's leaking. The system is leaking. And then you can create essentially a case for this. So you can come down here and you can, obviously it's a new case. Let's call it a high priority. So this just gives our guys an understanding of how quickly they need to react to it. The case origin. So this was an email origin. And then the type. So it was fixing a specific leaking problem. The reason for this is it's a new leak. And then you can add some internal comments like this is urgent, or or urgent, or maybe more appropriately, the leak is on the Orca tap. And then you can just go ahead and save that, and this will add to your case queue. So this is kind of the final aspect of the Tetras system. You can jump into something called My Cases, and you can see every single case that's been assigned to the system. So these are all just test cases. So you can see every single case that's assigned to the system, their priority, the date that they were assigned, the person who's assigned them, and the subject. So in this case, this is the case that we just created, this leaking system. And then as these specific cases get closed off, so when our engineers come and close them off, it will just go from new to closed. So it gives you a good understanding of exactly what's happening in terms of kind of issues with the system, or in terms of cases. So that's really a really kind of broad overview of what Tetras can do. I mean, Tetras is fantastic for your understanding of your sample results, and also ultimately if you purchase an Orca system, it's fantastic to kind of have a look to see how the systems are operating. We can do various kind of customizations for each of our clients. So if you wanted to see, for example, if you bought an Orca system and you wanted to see if the runtime, if it wasn't dosing for some reason, copper or silver, we can send specific alerts to yourself automatically from the system. We can essentially make these platforms completely customizable to every kind of scenario. And we have a team that can do that for us. So if there are specific kind of parameters that you would like, we can make those changes. Otherwise, if you do have any questions, please just get in contact with us at ProEconomy, so www.proeconomy.com, or get in contact with us on 01525 854 111. But it's been a pleasure to kind of talk you through our Tetras system. We're super excited about it. We really hope you are too.